Hello, mixtresses and mixters. This is Mixtress Ray, and you're watching Mixtress Video. So I wanted to do kind of an update on. I have now had the FiiO X3 second generation DAP digital audio player for 2 weeks now. Is that right? Maybe not quite 2 weeks, but I've had it long enough that I've finally been able to get all my music on it through the Dapper program. So I want to talk about this in conjunction with the Dapper program for the most part today. I will say, so at first all I had was a 4 GB SD card to put in the micro SD card to put in the little slot. And sorry, I don't have great lighting. I never have great lighting because my philosophy with lighting is turn a shit ton of lights on and hope it works. Anyway, what was I gonna say? I am scattered today, which means it's the perfect day for taping a video, right? I almost said typing. See? Anyway, I just wanted to sort of describe to you how the process of the Dapper program. So if you're getting a digital audio player and you have a Mac and you're used to iTunes syncing all of your news stuff and just the ease of syncing with iTunes, Dapper is the program that you should get. For my money, it is definitely worth the $20 price tag. And I will tell you why it's worth it to me. There are 3 reasons. First, playlists. Because I am the mixtress, playlists are a big deal to me. So the way that it does it, I'll just go all the way back and show you. The way that it does it in a FiiO player, at least, you can sync your playlist through Dapper to your FiiO. You can't do that. There might be some like hackery ways to put your playlists on your device without the Dapper program, but for me, this was the way to do it. So the way that you do it is once you synced them all, browse files, SD card, and I have, since I have 100 gigabytes of music, I have it all organized by folder, so all the B artists are in the B folder, blah blah blah. Anyway, the way you get to your playlists is at the bottom of all of this. It just starts listing the playlists right here. And I have a lot of them. I have almost 100 playlists synced on here because I am the mixtress and I like to make playlists. So this is how I do it. And it's great. It's great. They're all there. They're in the correct order for the most part. I did have some problems with iTunes playlists that I have ordered that I've let iTunes order. Like, for example, some of my playlists are ordered by like song length, so I'll just click the little arrow so that they're all like, shortest to longest song or whatever. In that case, it kind of puts them in the wrong order. There's an error there. So you do have to manually order your playlist to get them in your DAP in the right order. So that's one reason why I think Dapper is worth $20. The other reason is that whenever I first synced, when I had the 4 GB card, I was just literally dragging files over to it. And that made, for some reason, it wasn't as compatible with the artwork to do it that way. So about, 75% of my music that I put on there, maybe more, did not have artwork. But whatever, the Dapper program has some way to fix that, because I haven't looked at all of my files because I have like 10,000 songs on here now with my 200 GB micro SD card. But so far, I think I've only seen one track that didn't have the artwork connected. So it went from like a 70% artwork. You know what? It wasn't even that much. I feel like it was less. I feel like I had less, like maybe 25% of my music actually had the artwork before. And now there's been one song that I've seen, so it's more like 95% of my music now probably has the artwork. maybe more like 99%. So that right there alone, just having my playlists on my DAP and having the artwork in all of my music is worth the $20 right there. And the third reason why I think the Dapper program is worth it is what was the reason? I had a third reason. Playlists, artwork. Oh, and it has a lot of customization in it, so it like you can do things the way that you want to have them done. And one of the things that's cool about the Dapper program is it deletes empty files. So for some reason, whenever I was just dragging and dropping files directly to my other micro SD card, it sometimes there would be empty files, and it was just a mess. You know, there was mess involved, and the Dapper program has a way to throw away a lot of the junk files and stuff like that, so you have a lot less just miscellaneous crap to deal with. Almost everything that says it's here is actually here, so that's great, and it really does make your syncing easy like iTunes. The big issue for me with the Dapper program is that whenever I first got it, I'm just going to go ahead and start playing this playlist so that the artwork will eventually change. When I first initially synced with Dapper, it took about, I think, over 48 hours. I had to keep starting my syncs over. I had a lot of my first sync didn't sync all of my music. The second sync, for some reason, it decided that it wanted to delete almost all my music and start over. But I think a lot of this was a combination of, I do have a 6-year-old computer. If you can hear right now, the ambient noise in the background is my computer's fan working extremely hard, even though my computer's not really doing anything right now. So that is, that's something. That's probably a gigantic part of why it took so long with my Dapper program. I'm trying to remember what I'm even talking about. Okay? That's what's wrong with my life right now. I don't know what I'm talking about. So that's part of the process, the fact that my computer's really old. Another part of the process is my iTunes file path. Like, it's a stupid situation. Something that most normal people will never have to think about. But essentially I changed the file path for my iTunes because I was trying to get it to be more compatible with this DJ software that I have that doesn't recognize my iTunes files properly. And it was just a big clusterfuck that just fucked up my iTunes library forever, pretty much. I think I finally fixed it. So once I fixed the iTunes file path, it made the Dapper program think that my music wasn't where I said it was. So that's probably why that second sync it deleted so much. But anyway, my computer was working pretty much continuously with the Dapper program running and syncing my device. My device was plugged into my computer, trying to sync my 10,000 songs to it for 2 or 3 days. So it took a while, but I am anticipating that future syncs with my Dapper and my DAP are not going to be that complicated. But it is more complicated than hooking an iPod up to iTunes, for sure. But I do think that this particular player is worth the extra effort because it just really does sound better. It sounds better in my stereo because of this line out function here. You plug in via the line out to stereos instead of the headphone jack. It sounds better through headphones. It just sounds better. I will say there is a little bit of an issue with, there we go, focusing on the artwork. There is a little bit of an issue with this player and in-ear headphones, I've noticed. Sometimes some music just doesn't really sound that great with in-ear headphones, whereas if you switch over to over-ear good quality headphones, such as my Audio-Technica ATH M50Xs, such a mouthful, it will sound amazing. You know, like for example, Chelsea Wolfe's Abyss, one of my top 5 albums from last year, and I just really love that album a lot. Probably one of my top 25 of all time. It sounds muddled and kind of bad with my Bose SoundTrue Ultra in-ear headphones, but it sounds freaking amazing with my Audio-Technica. So I'm not sure like what that really means, but my my thought process is the higher quality music you're listening to through a high quality device like this means that you need to kind of meet it with really high quality over ear headphones. I don't have any super high quality in ear headphones, and I don't plan to get any in the future. So that for me makes this player less of a player that I'm going to use with in ear headphones, which probably means I'm going to use this at home when I'm listening to my big headphones, and I'm going to listen to it on my stereo at home, and I'm going to listen to it in my car. It sounds great in my car, even though my car doesn't have a great stereo. It just, for some reason, does not lend itself well to just run-of-the-mill in-ear headphones. Even my Bose, which cost $130. Not always the case, though. A lot of music does sound good with my Bose in-ear headphones, but there just have been a few things that I'm like, ooh, now that I've heard how well some of my lossless files, such as Chelsea Wolfe's Abyss, sounds in this player with better over-ear headphones. I know the difference. You know, I'm like, oh God, this sounds awful. Not really awful. The other downside that I mentioned about this player in the comparison video that I did with the Theo X3 second generation versus an iPod Classic was the fact that you can't scrobble with it. And that's, if you don't know what that means, there's a website called Last.fm that keeps track of every song you listen to and puts it in this website so you can see all the stats of the things that you listen to. I did find a solution to this that for me is a good solution, and it is universalscrobbler.com or something like that. Just Google Universal Scrobbler, and it's just basically a program where you can either manually type in things that you've listened to from devices that won't scrobble, such as if you're listening to vinyl or if you're listening to something like this that doesn't have the capability built into it in order to scrobble, or and it just has a lot of different options. You can either search through the Last.fm database or a Discogs database, or there's another database they have there that I can't remember what it's called at the moment. Or you can manually type in the information if it's like an indie artist that's not in any of those databases. Or you can even type in another user's Last.fm. So if you were listening to music with someone else that also scrobbles, you can look them up and do little check marks next to the songs that they've scrobbled recently that you listened to with them. So it's a really cool site, and I like it a lot. So that solved that problem. So the only problems I really had with this player at first were that you couldn't sync it like iTunes, which that problem was solved with a $20 Dapper program, and that you couldn't scrobble. That problem was solved by using that Universal Scrobbler website, which is free for 20 scrobbles a day, or you can pay, there's some kind of monthly fee, I can't remember what it was, and then there was like a $5 forever, like pay for this thing forever, scrobble as much as you want. So that's the option that I chose. So, I mean, it ended up costing me some money, $20 Dapper program, $5 Universal Scrobbler thing, but I don't mind manually typing in all of my stuff. And if syncs are going to take a little bit longer with this device than they did with an iPod, that's okay too. I'll just sync slightly less often and I'll just be ready to, like, okay, this thing is going to be plugged in for a couple hours, whatever. But I don't know if that's true actually yet. I don't know how long just a regular sync will take with Dapper. I have not done that yet. The initial sync that I did was just putting all my music on it, which took forever, like I said. So anyway, I just think it is worth it if you're a person that really likes high quality, warm sound. Like, plus, if you're gonna go, I looked just to see, like, whenever I was in my syncing nightmare, and it was like, you know, day 2 of the syncing nightmare, I looked on eBay just to be like, okay, well, I can't take my iPod back from my Michael because I gave it to him and he's really enjoying it and he listens to it all the time. I'm not going to take it back from him. But what if I can't get my music on this thing? What if this thing just doesn't work for me? And then I looked on eBay to see what, like, a 7th generation iPod Classic goes for, and it goes for $400 plus, you guys. A device that isn't as good a quality as this goes for that much on eBay. So with this, you can get it on eBay for like $150, pay $20 for the Dapper program, pay $50 for a micro SD card. Like, it ends up being more than just the $150 price tag of this. But it still ends up being hundreds of dollars less than buying, a refurbished iPod Classic that's, 5 years old at this point. Whereas this device is only like 1 or 2 years old. I think it's only like 1 year old at this point. So I would definitely highly recommend it. And if you guys are coming from an iPod world and you want something like this and you have any questions about stuff, I think I've outlined pretty much how it goes. You buy it, you get an SD card, you get that Dapper program. If you have a Mac, it's not available on PCs though, so I don't know what the simpler solution like that is. There probably is some kind of other program. Another cool thing about Dapper is that the developer, I think his name's Jeremy Lawrenson, I might be getting the last name wrong, but the developer of the program, he has already put out an update since I downloaded it, so he's obviously active in the updates. And he regularly answers questions on forums and stuff on headfi.org. So he's very accessible, and he really cares about making this program usable for lots of different dApps, and just he cares about making the features available, and he seems to, like I said, he's accessible. So that's really cool. I feel like I could go on headfi.org, ask a question to him, and get a response, which is great. And that's another really cool thing about FiiO as well, the company that makes this device. They make all kinds of cool, audio equipment, and the developers of FiiO are also very active on headfi.org, and they really care about making things the way that audiophiles want them, and he's very accessible, and that's really pretty cool. So I feel like, in general, going from an iPod to a FiiO X3 2nd generation I feel good about it. I'm giving money to a relatively young company. FiiO has only been around since 2007, and I feel like, I know the developer a little bit because I've seen a lot of his responses on forums and stuff. And same thing with the Dapper program. I find no problem giving them $20 for a program. I've never spent $20 on a Mac program in my life, ever. But it was completely worth it because I have my artwork, I have my playlists, and I can sync my device now. So it's all good. So in conclusion, I definitely recommend a Theo player, and I definitely recommend that Dapper program. If you are coming from the iPod world, it's going to be an adjustment, you know. You're going to have to, you know, take some time aside to get used to your new device and see if it's worth it to you. If your iPod still works, by all means, use it. But if you get to a point where your iPod crashes and your option is to buy a $400 5-year-old iPod on eBay, don't do it, because you can spend half that money in a little bit of adjustment time to have a device that I think works really great. Even software wise, like I said before, it was easy to get used to this. It really was. I mean, there's just a little bit of adjustment, period, but it's easy enough software, pretty intuitive, and it works great. So, kudos to Theo, and kudos to Dapper, and all that stuff. Like, I'm very impressed, and I'm very happy. And especially because I got this for my birthday, so the amount of money that I had to put forth was significantly less than if I had bought this device for myself. So anyway, I hope you guys are having a great week. I hope you guys have been enjoying all of my weird audio equipment reviews lately. I've been having a lot of fun with it, and I hope that you have too. Bye!